Day 2 of Texans training camp in the books. Plenty to report from the defense, not as much from the offense, but that's okay. We'll get to all of it. Presented by my friends at DraftKits.co. Take your fantasy football league to the top level with a customized, reusable draft board. Anything you need for your draft, DraftKits has it. Check them out in the link in the description down below and find out how you get a discount as well. 4 big observations from the second day of Texans training camp. Let's get to number one. It was the defense's day on day 2. It's almost like they took yesterday personal. Look, day 1, I would have gone split decision to the offense. If I was doing like a combat sports judging thing, I'd say split decision to the offense. Day 2, unanimous decision to the defense. Wasn't a knockout, okay? Wasn't like that bad, but the defense clearly won the day. They had a couple of forced turnovers off of some offensive mistakes, most notably C.J. Stroud throwing an interception to Jalen Petrie. The play was just a mess. Stroud looked like he had a little bit of a issue getting going from the snap. There was pressure. He had to kind of try to see over the defensive lineman, and he just let it go. It sailed a little bit, and Petrie, boop, he's right there for the interception. It wasn't a pick six, though. You know how DBs do now these days. Petrie and the rest of the DBs ran down to the end zone. They were losing it. They were having a grand old time after picking off C.J. Stroud. There was another play later where Graham Mertz had a bad handoff, and the ball just was there on the turf. The defense picked it up. That would have been a scoop and score for a touchdown. But it was a really solid day from the defense. The one thing that I felt like was most notable from the defense was they seemed more ready and prepared to attack the Houston Texans' quick passing game, which is something this defense is going to see as a way to try to stymie their incredible pass rush of Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. So the defense looked a little bit more ready for the quick stuff. They were breaking quicker on short routes and were in there getting into passing lanes, forcing quarterbacks to maybe hit that second read, make some more decisions from the pocket. But then the offense also was adjusting, and they still were able to get some maybe over the middle stuff that took a little bit longer time to develop. So that's a very important element of the defense and the offense give and take in a practice, is when the Texans offense has the quick game working, the defense has to adjust to it. That's what they're going to see. And when the Texans defense adjusts to it, the offense has to have another pitch, another speed, so to speak, because that's what's going to happen to them in the regular season as well. So that is, I felt like, one of the most notable elements of the defense versus offense matchup was the adjustment to the quick game after it worked pretty well yesterday. Still had some nice quick game moments from the offense. Jalen Noel had a really nice catch. Nico Collins had like a ridiculous reach behind him grab in over the middle in one of the team sessions. So he's just so damn good, Nico Collins. But there were some moments for the offense that were, decent enough, but the defense took care of business today, and they got back. So through 2 days, if we're doing the scoreboard, I'll go offense 1 on a split decision and defense 1 on a unanimous decision. No knockouts yet. Maybe when Pads gets here, one side of the ball will have a knockout. Speaking of that defense, I want to highlight some defensive standouts. Let's start with my guy, Solomon Byrd. Man, Solomon Byrd has been fantastic this year for the Texans. I say this year because, well, he got his first ever start at the end of last season, but in this year against the Tennessee Titans. That was his first appearance in an NFL game as a rookie at the end of last season. But again, it happened in January of this year. And then in OTAs and minicamp, Byrd was a menace. I feel like every time the Texans have been on the field this year, almost every time, Solomon Byrd's had a sack. I think there was one time in the offseason workouts, minicamps, and OTAs that he didn't have a sack, and then he had a sack yesterday. He had a sack today as well. And D'Amico Ryans explained what Byrd has done after being a rookie who didn't see the field and was a practice squad guy last year to sort of make an impact here in the offseason workouts and here in training camp.
It really started for me. I saw Solomon start to peak in our OTA practices. I saw a guy who kind of finished up how he had that last one of his reps versus Tennessee at the end of the year, where he finished up sack fumble on the quarterback. And since he came back this offseason, he's been doing a really great job. He's consistently been in the backfield No matter who he's going against, he's done a really great job of working his technique, really getting off the football in a violent manner, really playing faster. And that's one thing I see from him. He's playing faster. He's not thinking. And now, he's becoming a better player because of that. And I think year two, it slows down for everybody, right? And Solomon has definitely benefited from having some experience his first year, seeing, what we expect of him. And now he's really flourishing now in camp.
50's been a fun watch. I'm excited to see him with the pads on because these offensive linemen, a little tough to do their jobs when the pads aren't on. So you don't want to take too much stock into it. But when Bird's hitting them with pure speed, I mean, you have to be excited about what he brings to the table. A couple of defensive tackles had some nice days as well. Tim Settle had a tackle for a loss yesterday. Tim Settle shared a tackle for a loss today. Sheldon Rankins had a tackle for a loss. Mario Edwards Jr. had a tackle for a loss as well. The defensive tackles and the defensive line as a whole, pretty stout, kind of wallish for this offensive line. Didn't quite have many successful offensive runs from the Texans in this practice today, mainly because the defensive line had a solid day. My guy, Junior Tafuna, the undrafted free agent out of Utah, he had a couple of nice plays. One where he combined with fellow rookies Keontae Hamilton and Jackson Woodard to shut down a run play. Another one where he kind of ran a stunt with Casey Toohill and found himself with a good pass rush rep. Now, the quarterback got rid of the ball in that one, in that rep. Blake Fisher ended up on the ground. That wasn't good for Blake Fisher, but Tafuna had a moment. Obviously, we talked about Settle and Edwards and Sheldon Rankins. Still no Foley Fatakasi, still no Kurt Heinisch. Tommy Togiai had a really nice pass rush rep at one point as well, where he was just, the defensive tackles are going after quarterbacks and the quarterbacks have a little bit of room. It's kind of like a cartoon. Like Togiai was just kind of like, and like going after the quarterback. And the QB like saw him and it was a threat, but the QB just got rid of the football. And I was like, man, Togiai almost had himself a sack, but at the same time, QB had time to get rid of it because of where he had put himself in the pocket. But it's funny to see Togiai get that, beat his man, got after the quarterback, made the QB make a decision. And if he didn't, Tommy Togiai would have flattened the guy, again, if it was a live rep. So some pretty good stuff from the defensive line and from Solomon Byrd as well. So Dylan Horton fly off the edge at one point too. He looks physically impressive and he looks as athletic as he's ever looked in a Texans uniform. And obviously, as he gets further and further away from dealing with cancer, he's going to get more and more ready and have more juice to him than he has in the past couple of years. And then Darrell Taylor hit a really nasty spin move, but the offensive line was ready for it. Still waiting to see what Darrell Taylor can do out there as a potential defensive end depth piece for this Texans team. Don't wait to see what DraftKits.co can do for your home draft. Take the draft to the top level. Get a customized draft board. Maybe you want to put a embarrassing picture of the loser. Maybe you want to put a picture of you as the king because you won last year as the background of the draft board. Just go poke around the website and see all the fantastic stuff they're capable of doing. Get yourself a discount. They got the big stickers that you get each and every year that track the player movement, have the bye week on them, got the player's face on them. It's great, man. DraftKits does a great job. It's a Texas company. Texan fan runs it, and support your Texans fans and be the belle of the ball when the draft gets here because you brought a badass draft board to the draft. You're getting a discount as well and use my code CODY25. Check them out, the link in the description down below. Two more big things. This over on the offensive side of things. I'm worried about these running backs. The good from the running back room on day 2, Thursday, is Jawar Jordan. Jawar Jordan was the best running back of the day. He had a couple of really nice moments. One moment, he took the ball and he went right, and there was nothing, nada. And so he just cut it back left, and Davis Mills was kind of lead blocking for him. And, it's Davis Mills, a quarterback, and it's not full contact, so he's not going at some defensive lineman's knees. But Jordan kind of used Mills as a human shield and then was able to cut up and turn something that looked like a for sure loss into positive yardage. So that was a good play by Jawar Jordan. The best run by any running back of the day was Jawar Jordan. He took the ball, kind of read it, everything, and as soon as the hole opened up on the left side, boom, he took off and then was able to kind of angle once he got through the line out towards the sideline and force that defense to chase him a little bit more. And that's really it to talk about from the rushing attack. I know there was a moment here or there where they were kind of fighting through the defensive line, and maybe in live contact they get a little bit more, or the defensive line would tell you they got a little bit less than what they got there. Again, it's no pads, so you don't want to panic. You don't want to overestimate what you've seen through just a couple of days from the running back standpoint, but it's not been super easy to run the football. And Titus Howard talked after practice about they have to establish the run as a team, and then the pass will come along. They've got some work to do there. And, of course, no Joe Mixon and no Dameon Pierce, as they are still recovering from injuries that they had from the offseason. Mixon on the non-football injury list, Pierce on the physically unable to perform list. So no Pierce, no Mixon, and nothing to note outside of Jawar Jordan. Nick Chubb is worrying me a little bit. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look like he's got the burst, the juice, the acceleration. And maybe it's just 2 days, and maybe he's still getting used to the blocking scheme and the offense and figuring everything out and seeing everything from a vision standpoint. Maybe that's the case. But it hasn't looked good. He doesn't look like he has the same level of athleticism as pre-injury. And that's your biggest concern when you have a significant injury like what Nick Chubb dealt with, is what does the athletic bounce back look like? It didn't look good last year when he played for the Cleveland Browns. It was some of the worst football he's played. In fact, it was the worst football he's played in his NFL career. It didn't look good, and it looks a lot closer to 2024 Nick Chubb than pre-injury Nick Chubb so far. Again, you don't want to overreact because it's not padded practice. We'll see what the offensive line and the rushing attack can put together when the padded practices get here. But through the first 2 days, color me wholly, totally unimpressed by what the running backs have been able to put together. Now let's talk about the offensive line. A new configuration, a new conglomeration, a new whatever you want to say for the offensive line for the first ones out there. So this one was a fun look. And if I was trying to guess what the looks would look like each day, I don't believe I would have got this one correctly. So here was the first offensive line configuration out there for the Texans. At left tackle, Ariante Ursary, the rookie out of Minnesota. Left guard, Laken Tomlinson, of course, signed as a free agent in free agency. That's where you sign free agents, but from Seattle. At center, Jake Andrews, who the Texans claimed off of waivers this past offseason, Titus Howard at right guard, and Blake Fisher at right tackle. Now, that was the initial group. They did some mixing and matching, some different things over the course of practice. At one point, you had Cam Robinson at left tackle, Juice Scruggs at left guard, with Jarrett Patterson at center, and Ed Ingram at right guard, and Zach Thomas at right tackle. So there's a lot of mixing. There's a lot of matching. And initially, that's not a concern and that's not a problem. And I thought Titus Howard's comment after practice about why it's important was an intriguing element to dealing early on with the mixing and the matching.
You never see an offensive line during the season that just had the same 5 guys that are starting. So I feel like the biggest thing is just, getting guys out there and then seeing the guys who just, every day being consistently good each and every day. It's not about being the guys that consistently playing with each other. It's about who at each position every day is going out there working their ass off and doing the things they need to do to be the best guy available for the team for the starting 5. So we're not really worried about that right now. Right now we just working on the details and trying to get everybody in the group better, because everybody in the group got to be good, because one guy go down, the next guy got to be ready to go.
So right now it's just about do your job, take care of your business, and then they'll figure out exactly who works best with everyone else. Because again, they've said it multiple times this year. It's about 5 guys working together as one to be the offensive line. And I'll be excited to talk to offensive line coach Cole Popovich about what do you garner from guys playing with different guys, playing in different positions. How do they work together? Can certain combinations of guys work better than this guy with that guy? There's a lot that I want to ask Cole Popovich about this offensive line. There's a lot to get to. And for day 2, another rough one for Blake Fisher, man. It hasn't been a good start to training camp for Blake Fisher. He got beat by Will Anderson again. And look, Will Anderson's going to beat almost everybody. How do you consistently block Will Anderson? You don't. It's impossible. But he's not really shown any ability to slow down Will Anderson at all. So I'm not going to hold that one against him too much, but I will hold the other ones against him. I mentioned earlier in this when he just kind of ended up on the ground trying to block when the defensive lineman kind of swapped places on a pass rush. And then there was another play in the team's portion where he had a false start and it basically blew the play up. I mean, they ran the play, but everybody kind of ran it at, 40%, 50% because they knew the play was blown up. And the next thing you know, the only swap out on that offensive line was Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas came in for Blake Fisher after he had that false start. So clearly the offense was not happy with Blake Fisher on that false start. So it's not been a good day or a good start, good 2 days for Blake Fisher along this offensive line. And again, no pads, 2 days of practice. Don't jump to conclusions. Okay, don't get the jump to conclusion, Matt, out just yet. Don't write the guy off. I know that last year wasn't as good as it needed to be and wasn't as good as a bunch of the guys that got drafted after him. And I know the start to the training camp has not been good for Blake Fisher. But hey, maybe he puts on the pads and that's kind of his armor and he's comfortable and he can go out there and make some plays. We'll find out soon when the pads come on. But early on, it hasn't looked good for Blake Fisher, and the Texans have plenty of options from Ariante Ursary to Zach Thomas to play instead of Fisher if he doesn't get it done. So just something to monitor. Put it at the top of your O-lineman to monitor list as you make a list of O-linemen to monitor, which is what you would do with an O-lineman monitor list. Don't make one of those lists. I'll just tell you what happens each day when I go out there and watch. But he's on my O-lineman to monitor list. If you did want to make the list, he's at the top. 57, Fisher. I digress. That's it for the big observations. Of course, the 1,000+ word recap is on Houston Football, the newsletter sent to your inbox if you sign up. And it's, of course, HOUfootball.com. The link's in the description down below. SNL will come your way live at 4 p.m. Plenty of conversation with my good buddy Landry Locker from the Locker Room about training camp. We watch it as close as anybody, giving you a thorough breakdown of day 2 and every training camp practice as well, including the ones out in West Virginia at the Greenbrier. We'll be going there. We appreciate everybody's support for allowing us to go out there and cover the team in West Virginia on the road. Appreciate you watching the video. Don't forget to visit my friends at DraftKits. Take your draft to the top level. And I can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.